Alright, so this study is going to be, is Arrius Piso Flavius Josephus? Okay, I'm going to use some history and try to get to the bottom of this. Alright, now, Arrius Calpurnius Piso cannot be found anywhere in history. And the only way they claim to even prove this person even existed is by cracking some hidden codes. Okay. The only reason people even know this name is because of Abelard Rucklin and his book, The True Authorship of the New Testament. A quote from his book on page 3. He does not appear in history as Arrius Calpurnius Piso. His true identity is decipherable only by reconstruction. So, to make this Arius even exist is to try to link him to someone who actually existed in history. Alright? So, Arrius Calpurnius Piso. Right? According to Abelard Rucklin, Cassinius Paetus existed. Cassinius Paetus is actually Arius. Okay? Now, Cassinius Paetus existed as Lucius Cassinius Paetus. And he is documented in history. So, in order to make this Arrius Piso even exist, you have to find a way to link him to Cassinius Paetus. Okay, you gotta really mess with some things in order to get Piso out of him. Now, let's look at Paetus, right? He was a Roman aristocrat who served as a Roman politician and general during the reigns of Roman emperors Nero, who served 54 through 68 AD, and Vespasian, which served from 69 to 79 AD. Okay, now he existed, all right, and he served under two people who, well, Nero, who actually tortured Christians, okay, for their abominations, he says. But Tacitus, who was a Roman historian and senator, he actually wrote how Nero started the Great Fire of Rome and blamed and tortured the Christians for it. Okay, that's just, but actually Tacitus, who was a Roman historian and senator, he's known by scholars because he referred to Christ, his execution by Pontius Pilate, and the existence of early Christians in Rome in one page of his final work, Annals, book 15, chapter 44. And the passage is one of the earliest non-Christian references to the origins of Christianity and the execution of Christ and the presence and persecution of Christians in the first century Rome. And scholars generally consider Tacitus' reference to the execution of Jesus by Pontius Pilate to be both authentic and of historical value as an independent Roman source. Okay, so back to Paetus, who actually served under Nero during his reign. Okay, so if the thing is, he says, according to Abelard Brooklyn, in his book, The True Authorship of the New Testament, Arrius Piso is supposed to be Jesus, and he's supposed to be Flavius Josephus. All right. Now, it's also said that he had a hand in writing the New Testament. Now, let's think about this, because if Arrius Piso is Cassinius Paetus, which they're trying to, you got to crack the codes, right? Because Arius can't be found anywhere in history. He just, according to this book, he hid himself really quite well. You have to crack codes. But this person is supposed to be Jesus. He got these, Christians, and Nero, torturing and killing Christians because of their abominations. But you got this person who supposedly is the one that they're believing in or following, who gave them, who is the reason why Nero is, killing them for their abominations, and he's supposed, if this is him, he's right under his nose. Why wouldn't Nero kill him? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. All right. And at this point, anyway, they were going by mouth. It doesn't seem like the Gospels, were written, or, or even if they were written around this time, this person is the one who supposedly, written the New Testament or written the Gospels, But anyway, so I want to get into, he actually served under Vespasian as well. Now, the thing with this is, and the reason why I feel like they trying to connect Arius, who doesn't even exist, Piso, to Paetus, is because he's actually linked to, or they trying to, connect him to him to say that he's Josephus, is because he was actually the son-in-law of Vespasian's son Titus. He married Titus's daughter, Flavia. So that's his son. That was his son-in-law. So they're trying to connect and say, he's Josephus. Josephus didn't get adopted by the family. He was already part of the family. That's not the case, because what you're going to understand is Paetus was actual Roman, Josephus was a Jew. Okay, him, his family, his sons, his parents, his brother, his father, his brother, his sons, they're documented in history. Now, they, were a total different nationality. Okay, if you know the history of the Jews, the black Jews, you know that Josephus was actually a black Jew. All right, his name was actually Yosef ben Matityahu. Okay? Forgive me if these names are, I've tried to look up how to say the names, and some of these names I can't find how to say them. So, I'm just going to pronounce them how they look to me. So, Joseph ben Matityahu, okay? And he was born in Jerusalem to father Matthias. Josephus, or actually Joseph, he fought against the Romans during the first Jew and Roman War, okay? And he actually was taken as a slave, to be a slave of Vespasian. And after a while, he became friends and advisor to Vespasian's son Titus, okay, serving as his translator. And when Titus led the siege in Jerusalem during the city's destruction and destruction of the second temple, eventually they released him as a slave, and he took on their name. And that's why you have his name as Flavius Josephus now. And his sons actually had taken on their names. And in the history, it's documented he had 3 wives: a captured Jewish woman, an Alexandrian Jewish woman, and a Greek Jewish woman. Okay. Also, his older full-blooded brother name was Matthias, like his father's name. And he was an ethnic Jew living in Jerusalem. Okay. Now, in 70 AD, during the Roman siege of Jerusalem, Matthias, his parents, and his sister-in-law were in the city during the siege. Matthias' parents and sister-in-law was held as prisoners by the Jewish rebels because they didn't trust them. And Josephus received word but was unable to save them. And his parents and first wife died during the siege. And Matthias became a Roman prisoner of war, and Josephus had him released. Okay. So, his children, Flavius Hyrcanus, Flavius Simonides, Agrippa, and Flavius Justus. All right. So, you have his history. He was, there on side of Titus during the siege. His parents got killed, and his first wife got killed during the siege. His brother was taken. What would be the reason that Paetus would be taken on, or it's just not from this history and from, common sense. Like, this is not Cassinius Paetus. Cassinius Paetus, probably, it says he was a politician, a Roman politician and a general. He was married to Titus's daughter, so that was, his son-in-law. And why isn't Paetus served under Vespasian. So most likely he was around him, because Vespasian actually let Titus be in charge of the siege. So most likely that's where he was. He was with Vespasian, or, up there in rank somewhere, in love with his wife, living a good life. Meanwhile, Joseph is on ground, being an eyewitness to the chaos. Now, it's documented that, now you gotta understand, the word Christian was given to the Jews, or just given to the followers of Christ. Okay? It tells you that in the Bible that Paul, and the disciples, were being called Christians. Okay, they also was being called Niger. Okay, which translate to black. That's where you get the word nigger. Okay, it's Niger, Niger in the Bible. It's pronounced nigger. Okay, being called black. Okay, that word isn't new. So yes, they were calling the apostles, the disciples, black or niggers, basically. And you gotta understand that the Christians separated themselves, or they were separated from the Jews. They were, they believed the warnings that Christ gave them, before he, went back to heaven. And they was looking for the armies, to where they would end up fleeing into the mountains. And the Christians, or the Jews that followed his teachings, followed and believed in his prophecies, they made it out. The ones that were dying and being tortured and being, that was those that didn't follow him, didn't believe him. So that's why it's a separation between the Christians and the Jews when it comes to that. The Jews that were following Christ, they made it out. The Jews that wasn't following him, they died or got taken as slaves and things like that. And that history, you can find, it's called, let me see, the flight to, the flight to Pella, or Pila, okay? And there's ancient sources that actually speak about that, and you can just look that up and read some of the accounts given about them fleeing into those areas, the Christians. So you're telling me that Paetus was warning, because even if, by that point it was by mouth from the apostles, spreading the gospel, and or if they had some type of writing at the time, you're telling me that Paetus warned the Christians to flee Jerusalem when they seen armies compassed and to flee. And Paetus served under Nero and Vespasian, who was, Vespasian at the time that, went in to destroy Jerusalem and the Second Temple. You mean to tell me this guy warned these people and Vespasian didn't kill him? Or, you know what I'm saying? It just don't make sense. It don't make sense at all. It don't make sense. You mean to tell me that Paetus is a prophet? Because the prophecies or the gospel that was being told to them in warnings to flee, and that the Second Temple would be destroyed and things like that came to pass. So you're giving credit to this guy who was a Roman general and politician. It just don't make sense. This guy, if he prophesied something like that, this dude would not hide himself. He would be notorious. He would be famous, in history. If that was the case, because the that came to pass with what the Christians believed. And honestly, the Christians was well established during the time of Nero. They was well established, during the time of, Vespasian. So you telling me that Patius, who they're saying is Piso, who don't even exist, has something to do with that? Now, Tacitus, and Pliny the Younger both gave account on Christians and Christ. They didn't even deny him. And from what I see here, it's just somebody who was having doubts about the Bible, looking for something. And of course, the devil has set up many traps. You looking for something, you're going to find something. And then you're going to fall into a delusion. And all of that Piso stuff is straight, it's a delusion.